Hello and welcome to another episode of North 100 Canadian Highlander Podcast. I'm Serge. Joining me as always, I have Jer, Alex, and Liam. A reminder that this is brought to you by you with your support at the Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. We literally couldn't do this without your support. Thank you very much. All right, let's jump into our usual opening segment. The best card you're not playing. Up to day. I have Jer. Up to day. You. Hi.
So the best card you're not playing today is Ruination. It's spicy. It's a really spicy card. It's a little niche. Definitely has some deck building constraints. So I'll explain the card first. So it's 3 and a red for a sorcery. Pretty simple text. Destroy all non-basic lands. So it's very Armageddon-esque, but it's sort of the plague wind of Armageddons. You know, it's sort of in an ideal world blows up all your opponent's lands, none of yours. This often sees play in Blood Moon decks.
Yup.
Because you're pretty heavily incentivized to play basics with Blood Moons. But you can also play it in prison strategies where you're also like playing a lot of rocks to accelerate your mana and get out of your tax effects. Mm-hmm. And so, if you end up blowing a couple of your lands, but all of your opponents, you're sort of okay with it, and it keeps them under your lock pieces.
Yeah.
So.
No, this card is great. This is a card that I have played and do not own. I have to borrow it because I haven't ever managed to acquire one.
Yeah. This is a card I keep almost playing.
Yeah?
I think that's true at least a lot in our meta. I see it played a lot more in the European Highlander metas. So much so that they've considered pointing it at several times.
What about Geddon?
Or banning it, sorry. They ban cards. Yeah. This one is like balance. It's symmetrical.
Interesting.
There's a commander card that's kind of like this too, right? That destroys all non-basic lands, and then you get to search for basics. It's like exact same mana cost. I can't think of the name.
Yeah, it was played in the Miracles sideboard for a while.
For a little while. I've never seen anyone play that card in Highlander, probably because there's just too many basics. But that's like kind of an interesting way to hedge too.
It is. I could see playing both. I think I'd play Ruination first most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely could see playing that one as well.
I think I thought about playing this in Big Boros.
Right?
Yeah, that's definitely the type of deck you want to get it in. Like ideally a 2-color deck that's just like playing Blood Moons and just like wants to find added disruption. And I think this is a really underutilized card.
Cool. All right, well, let's go into today's theme. Today we want to talk about customizing your deck. And we've broken this down into 2 sections. Practical and swag.
Aesthetic.
Yeah.
Hashtag aesthetic.
Yeah. So what are some practical things that you can do for your Highlander collection or for your deck? Some things that we've learned in experience. And some of the things that we do personally to customize our decks, to give it that unique feel that this is mine.
This is a Surge deck.
This is a Surge deck. Well, that's
deck.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes.
That's aside from Fastball and Strip Mine being all of them.
Because the card choices are one thing, but the actual
the way they're presented
says something as well. But
well, let's get started with the practical stuff. And so this is a very interesting thing. I want to talk about marked cards. So obviously, marked cards are bad. And there's a very clear rule around marked cards, and I'll defer to our L2 judge to define what is a marked card from a tournament point of view and from an infraction point of view.
So a marked card is a card or sleeve that can be like denoted without seeing the face of it. So especially the back has to be marked, or the card has to be able to be found in the deck somehow. So these are most commonly marks on the sleeve, or like identifying qualities of the sleeve. Like sometimes the corner is ripped, so like when you put your deck down, lots of people flick their finger across the tops of their decks, and if they have one sleeve that's broken and it's on top, then they're able to flick it and know what card is on top of their deck if they have the card in the broken sleeve. Or foils. Foils are the other
card's bent or if they're thicker or something like that.
I haven't seen a card printed by Wizards that is identifiable by thickness.
Normally that comes from altars. If somebody paints it, because you add a layer on top of it, it can be found that way?
Yeah, that's definitely true. But yeah, the foils was what I was getting at. The foil curve, as it's known, can...
But Serge, this doesn't sound like a way to customize your deck. It sounds like a way to get a game loss.
All right. Excellent segue, Alex. So one of the things we want to talk about are ways that you can mark cards legally, while keeping in mind definitely that there are illegal ways to mark cards, that even if you take our suggestions, please don't mark your decks, don't get yourself a game loss, don't get kicked out of a tournament for cheating or anything like that. All right, let's talk about the Grease's secret tech. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
Explain.
Yeah, and it's important to note that we're talking about marking your cards in a way that is both legal and from being used in a practical standpoint not to cheat.
Yeah.
But as just like a way to make your life
quality of life.
Yeah, to make your life easier. That will have no bearing on the game whatsoever.
Jer.
And so when talking about alters, alters that are generally going to be accepted will have three main things. The card name will be readable, the card mana cost will be readable, and the card art will be recognizable. There's no like hard and fast rule, and lots of judges are reasonably lenient as long as it's reasonable, but there are a few things that there have to be. The card name has to be readable, so you can't paint over that. Card mana cost has to be readable, can't paint over that. Card art has to be recognizable, so this is what gets the biggest one.
You can't make Ancestral look like a lightning bolt. You can't make it look,
Yeah, well, most commonly what people do is they print or paint like famous, like pop culture-y things onto stuff. Like you paint like a Transformer onto Platinum Imperion, and that becomes like a pretty gray area, because if like someone looks at the card, they may assume it's Sundering Titan, not Platinum Imperion.
So to get back to what you were saying, and brief aside, the Grease is a local player who, I don't remember where he got that nickname.
You don't want to know.
Okay, we'll just leave it.
It's just a nickname. It's fine.
He's a good guy.
So what does the Grease do? What are we suggesting to people here now that we've covered all of our bases?
You might actually have to remind me.
So what the Grease does is whenever he's playing a deck that has fetch lands, he puts a little mark on the front face of all the searches. So if he's
of the inner sleeve.
Of the inner sleeve. So when you're looking at the inside of the deck, and so in Highlander you do a lot of shuffling, you do a lot of deck searching. So something that he's done to cut down the amount of time is, particularly ahead of time, he's marked the sleeve, the inner sleeve of the card, with a big star, and he's like, oh right, here's the 6 cards I always fetch for. So he can thumb through the deck really, really quickly and find the card, and it cuts down his searching time down significantly.
Yeah, it's also not going to show on the back of the cards, but it's just like a quick indexing tip for when you're building a deck. This is also one reason why some people prefer revised duels over collector's edition, or
white border.
White border anything, because if you're fetching for it, it's easier to find it amidst a bunch of black cards.
Yeah, there's a pretty popular trend going around in a group of some pro/grinder players where they're whiteboarding large portions of their deck.
And again, we're not telling people to mark their cards in a cheat sort of way, but ways that you can play faster, that you can, especially if you're putting together certain packages or certain things you search for repeatedly, whatever you can do to speed up the time and to help your brain remember what it is you're looking for and why. Liam, you got anything to add on that one?
Sorry, it's unrelated. I'm just coughing for no reason.
I was trying to cover up for you there, Graham.
No,
you all right, bud?
No, everyone turned and looked at me. It was the whole thing. Sorry.
I can't imagine why.
I'm fine. It's just a cough. I wasn't like reacting to what you were saying. This sounds fascinating. Please continue.
All right, so we've worked out Graham doesn't like this idea. So one other thing I've heard of doing is using one of the redeeming qualities of the sort of like invention or masterpiece cards is that they're like super easy to find in decks. And the one thing you can run into here is they are foil cards, and so you have to make sure they're not bending. But one thing I've heard of is, like, for instance, there's a Doomsday player in our local scene who has a Invocation Doomsday on the basis that it's very easy to find, and he tutors for it more than anything else. In fact, it's the only card he tutors for the most part. So
yeah, foils are interesting because you could sort of mark your deck in that way, but you do have to be careful because foils do behave differently.
You just have to be
than normal
attentive.
cards.
Like I would caution against doing things like I'm going to make all my basic lands foil and the rest of my cards not, because that starts to get into kind of an issue of like you can work out where your basic lands are.
That's something that judges look for when you're doing deck checks. Is there a pattern that could be abused?
And that's the one sketchy thing about doing this is like it's not the only foil card in his deck, which definitely helps. Like he has a bunch of random foils as well, so it's not as though it's the only foil card in his deck, but this is a way to help do it. You just you really do want to be careful. I know one story that's been circulating a bunch recently is Kess, which is only available in foil because it's a commander product card. That card apparently has had bending problems, and so in Legacy, people have been getting dinged for like people being able to say Kess is on top of your deck.
This card gets played in Legacy?
Yeah, it's great.
Dude, this card's nuts.
This card's powerful. So just be attentive, take care of your cards. If your foils are starting to have a little bit of a bend to them, and you're going to go play in a competitive tournament, or in a tournament that's sanctioned, or in a tournament, or a tournament that's going to have prizes, maybe play the regular version if you can, if you have it.
Or go up and talk to the head judge before the tournament and just say I'm a little worried about this. Like, I'm not doing anything intentionally. Like, can you check?
Verify it ahead of time. Always check with the judge.
Yeah, and anytime the head judge gives you the okay, even if a problem arises later on in the tournament, you can be like, well, I went and talked to the head judge. He said it was okay.
Yeah.
And you'll go from there.
So my suggestion is you leave your copy of Kess Dissident Mage under a bunch of heavy books.
All right.
Like in between two encyclopedias.
Oh, yeah.
That's an okay solution, but it's not permanent, unfortunately.
Let's move to the next one. Let's talk about basic lands. This didn't even occur to me. And then Jared and Liam talked about the practicality behind basic lands. Jared, take it away.
So beyond just like your basic lands are some of the cards you're going to look at the most because they stay in play and you often find them a lot. Having uniform basic lands is actually a big deal, especially in Highlander, because there's strategic advantage to be gained. So say on turn 1, I'm playing against Surge, and I cast Gitaxian Probe, and he's playing with a bunch of sweet basic lands. He's got like an Unhinged Mountain, an Unstable Forest.
That's not quite my style, but sure.
Sure, a Beta Island.
Okay, better. Yeah. Well, no, it's all OG Iceland. That's all my basic lands are original Iceland.
So you're inadvertently doing the
original
right thing
snow
anyway.
lands. But then
they're not even the snow lands.
Surge is playing like black cards for some reason, and he doesn't usually play black cards. I'm just making this up.
Sure.
And so he draws a swamp, and it's like a regular like Shadows over Innistrad swamp, and then plays that one. And say I'd seen like another swamp in his hand. If it's an identifying, like if I'm like, oh, like I definitely saw like an unstable swamp in his hand, and then he plays like a not full art swamp.
I knew drew that.
I now know one of the cards in his hand is a basic.
Wow.
Whereas
that's a part I never thought of.
If all his basic lands were the same, then he just has a random card instead of a swamp.
Deniability when you.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you can just, like, circumnavigate this problem by, like, carefully remembering which cards your opponent has seen and playing the ones they've seen first. Yeah. But if you just play uniform basic lands, you get to skirt that problem entirely and not have to worry about it.
And in Highlander, it doesn't come up that often because the only card that this issue arises is basic lands. Like, you can't have any other doubles in your deck.
Well, see, now I feel really great because this matter actually overlaps a little bit with the swag segment.
Yeah.
And we'll maybe revisit it. When because I have.
You have solved this problem? I didn't even think of this.
It comes up a lot more in 4 of 60 card formats. Like that's what I do for all my standard Legacy and Modern decks. Whenever I can, is try to get the same version just for that reason. Especially when there's the ability to look at people's hand, which is usually available in
much more common than those ones.
It's like, I know what you're thinking.
That's so cool. I never even thought of that. Yeah. Well, it's also I love it. You blew my mind. All right, the last thing I wanted to talk about for practical stuff is double sleeve your Highlander deck. Please double sleeve your Highlander deck. Anybody want to add to this before I tell a little story?
Yeah, I can talk about this really briefly.
Right.
I'm really hard on cards.
Yeah.
I'm like not good on cards.
You're the like art shuffler.
I am, and also I just like have very strong hands.
Yeah, seeing Liam shuffle a Magic deck the first time was like almost.
It's a little jarring.
Yeah, he like when he shuffles a deck and you're not used to hearing or seeing it, you're just like, what's happening? Like those poor cards.
Yeah. And so double sleeving for me is really important because it's the only thing that keeps my cards from becoming unplayable, like actually not sleeve playable anymore. Like I single sleeved a standard deck like last season, and almost none of the cards from it are playable anymore. They just have huge creases in them. Like you can easily tell where they are. They basically bend in half. And trust me, I've tried shuffling less hard. It's hard to break yourself of the habit, and it's also hard to sufficiently randomize your deck. So in Highlander, use double sleeves. It really help. I know a lot of people kind of feel that when they double sleeve their deck, it gets like really large and daunting.
It can be hard to shuffle.
You can shuffle it in sections.
It's worth it.
It's worth protecting the cards. It's also worth protecting the cards from other potential damage. But that's the reason why I use them.
So, do we have a segment bid for this? Powerful fails. So I was sitting down at one of my favorite drinking establishments in Victoria.
I have an idea for this segment.
All right.
Classic blunders.
Classic blunders. So I was sitting down at one of my favorite Victoria establishments, sitting across from a friend of mine, a fellow Highlander player named Nick. And we weren't even playing Magic. We were just hanging out. And it was Monday night. The tournament was going to start soon. And Nick was like, oh, hey, I sleeved up Paradox Academy. You want to take a look at the list? And it's like, boy, do I ever. And as he goes to put his deck on the table and I reach forward to grab it, I knock a glass of water on the table right onto his deck. We have talked about Highlander, and it can get a little bit pricey, and unfortunately, he had a workshop in his deck. He had a time twister in his deck. This was a very
9 fetches.
Yeah.
10 fetches.
All 10 fetches, and
Probably
my heart...
Some dual lands.
My heart is just sinking, and I'm just like, oh my god. And the first thing I say is just like, I'll replace your deck, and he's like, shut up and dry. And so there's like, we immediately grab a stack of napkins, we find the cards that are in there, and luckily, his deck was double sleeved. There were probably a good 20 cards that water got between the sleeves. So inside of the first sleeve, but not into the double sleeve. Luckily, and there was one card that water got inside of the second sleeve as well.
Which one?
His time twister. An actual piece of Power 9 had water on it. So we got to that card first. We found it immediately, pulled it out of both sleeves, put it in a napkin while we went to dry other things. I'm like, Mox Diamond, pull it out of a sleeve. Dry. Just like my heart, just like boom, boom. Boom, boom.
Water damage is the silent killer of Magic cards.
It's not very silent.
Okay, it's very loud.
You were not exactly what I would describe as.
I had a similar experience one time when a certain unnamed person spilled a beer onto my table of cube cards.
Yeah, that was bad.
Who was it? Somebody at the table?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was not me.
It wasn't me.
I'm not much.
And he was just like, oops, and everyone else was like doing the mad scramble because they were like Moxes, duels, like.
This might actually be a good time to talk about how to double sleeve your deck too.
Oh yes.
Well, let me circle back to the time twister first.
Oh sure.
It was fine. Before anybody freaks out in the comments, we managed to get to it fast enough.
Yeah,
No, it's totally fine.
No, Serge, they are commenting right now. They're not going to wait till the end of the video to comment.
Alex, I know. It's all going to be okay.
The card was fine. Everything was fine, other than my heart. We solved the whole deck, and this is why we say double sleeve. We had one near miss, and everything was okay.
It's a near hit.
Liam, talk about how does one go about double sleeving their deck?
So oh god.
Thank you, Graham, for the tread waters.
So when you're double sleeving, what you want to do is you want to make it so that the card is like effectively sealed in. So you don't want to sleeve. You don't want to put the perfect fit on the same way you're going to put the regular sleeve on.
Yeah.
You want to invert
it. If one goes this way, the other goes this way.
Yeah, exactly. So you want like the top of the perfect fit to be like here, and then that way when you put your sleeve on, it's going to be covered at the top and covered at the bottom.
You're going for like this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is useless for anybody listening.
Yeah.
But if you imagine like a Pac-Man eating another Pac-Man.
Yeah, two C's looking into each other.
Well, just like the opening of the perfect fit, you want to put the top into first, and then the opening of the actual sleeve, you want to put the bottom of the card into first.
Oh, I got it.
And you want to put the perfect fit on first. Shouldn't need to be said, but you know what? Let's just say it to be straight.
The perfect fit
Okay.
is the hat.
I think you might
Okay,
be
hold
making
on,
this
hold
more
on.
complicated
Let
than
me
needs to be.
finish.
Give him a second. All right, a hat.
The outer sleeve is the trousers.
I mean, I guess.
Let's move on.
All right.
So that's our practical segment. We talked about practical ways to mark cards that won't get you disqualified. You should not get disqualified, and check with a judge first. We talked about basic lands of using the same art and how that you can get an advantage out of that. And we talked about please double sleeve your decks. Let's move on to swag. Swag.
This is just hashtag aesthetic for your deck.
Yeah.
You have the choices that compose your deck, but because Magic is a
Oh God, Jer recently acquired a foil of this card.
oh, that's
Foil.
I got a foil.
you got a foil.
Dude, that's
foil.
sick.
That's
So let's start.
I'm almost mad.
Let's start off with basic land. What's everyone's basic land art of choice?
Unhinged.
Well, let's go to the
sorry.
line. Jared,
Rebecca Gay, Commander
Oh,
Basics.
Correct.
for all 5?
Yeah.
Cool.
And the non-foil versions.
Those
non-foil,
those are
yeah.
the ones that got printed in the latest Commander set.
Sure.
Or they're really.
He doesn't know.
they're
He just has
really
200
nice.
of them.
Yeah.
I have 100 and some of each.
Of each. Oh, you have a cube,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense too. So you're doing that.
And a problem.
I really like
Oh,
them.
those
They
are
look
pretty.
so good.
Oh, wow.
They're gorgeous.
I don't know if I'd seen these. Oh. For those of you listening, Graham's giving us a little slideshow of the art right now, and they're really pretty. You should
Serge,
look these up.
You should describe this vividly for our listeners.
I can't. I can't. Words cannot
There's
describe the art
turquoise
that
in
we're
the
seeing.
background.
Thanks.
There's some.
There's a
forest.
warm overlapping.
Next card.
Well, that's swamp though.
Okay, Jared.
bad moon
you might be selling me here.
rises.
The island is actually my least favorite,
Yeah.
which is an issue.
That's kind of a shame because
But-
you're an island kind of guy.
but
Yeah.
I can't not break up the set.
That's fair. All right, mine. I actually. Yeah.
right.
Okay. I break up the set. So my favorite art, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is the original Ice Age land. I don't even know who the artist is. I just like the aesthetic of it. For all of them except for the swamp. I don't like the swamp. So the island, forest, plains, and mountain, I have all the original Ice Age land, and not even the snow-covered land. Just the land.
Which one though? Aren't there?
So
a
for the
couple of different-
plains, the plains I actually do all 3 because and apparently I'm not very good
Yeah,
at
you're
practical
just
things
giving
here.
up free information.
Because if you put all of the Iceland plains together, it forms a collage.
Ice Age.
What did I say?
Iceland.
If I put all the Ice Age basic lands for plains together, it makes a bigger picture, which is really quite cool.
They've done that in a couple of sets.
Only
like-
2. That and Lorwyn.
No, in Kamigawa,
Oh,
the John
Kamigawa as
Avon
well?
Mountains make a
Kamigawa,
collage
they-
as well.
They have 4 together.
Yeah.
In Lorwyn, it was a series of diptychs. In the
Sorry, what?
Diptychs.
I see.
Carry on.
I think the enemy and allied colors would be paired together.
Ah.
If you can look it up, it's very, very pretty.
And for swamp, I use the Lotus one. Specifically the one printing in, what's the one that looks like an M that's kind of like a slither looking thing? Is that Onslaught?
Because that's a
Yeah.
morph.
The
Yes,
set expansion?
Onslaught is the one you're
The
thinking
Onslaught
of.
Swamp, specifically the art where they have the purple lotus flower. And I like the Onslaught printing because it has the old border still. So those are the art of choice that I use for basic lands.
So
Alex.
for a long time, I had a similar aesthetic where within a type of basic land, I would have all of the same. But I had trouble getting like a complete set of 5 that I liked. I would usually find 2 or 3 that I liked together. And so I just started collecting those. So I had a few from Ravnica that I really liked, like I want to say like the Golgari kind of, cathedral looked really, really good. A lot of the ones from Alara block are really, really pretty.
Yep.
I like the plains from Alara.
The Plains is gorgeous from Alara.
Just broadly, all of the
yeah,
plains.
actually the I think it's the Chippy island with the segmented clouds. Those are really cool. It's like the Esper Esper swamp or island.
When you chase down a particular art, it's neat. Like for example, I love the Zendikar Island of the cup, like the cup pouring out water, but I never put it in a deck. But I can appreciate that art.
It's very good.
Not much of a cupper
So
myself.
what's in your deck right now?
Unhinged.
Oh, that is really pretty. Unhinged. Really? New or old?
Not unhinged.
No, unhinged.
Oh.
Not unstable.
Pardon me.
Yeah, a fan, thank you, sent me a bunch of them.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, I could sell these. Or I could use this as the starting point to sort of work my toolkit out. I'm trying to get about 15 of each, which
works everything but goblins,
very
I guess.
slowly. Yeah, no, goblins I'm screwed on. Actually, no, I still have a bunch of Alexi Bricklot, Alara mountains, which are my favorite for that. They're so mountainy. They're just red.
So mountainy.
They're
That's
red.
actually an issue with mountains, is that a lot of them aren't very mountainous.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
the Zendikar mountains are terribly disappointing. The original
are.
Zendikar full art mountains.
Yeah.
None of them jump.
Actually, the
out at me.
Alexei Bricklot mountains are just erupting volcanoes.
Huh.
And it's actually funny because I think he did.
It's not a mountain. It's a volcano.
Volcano Los Dos.
Yeah.
All right. Probably
So
some
when
geological
a volcano
explanation.
stops
That's
exploding,
pretty red.
yeah, look
It's
at
red,
that.
but it's not mountainous.
I disagree.
That's pretty mountainy.
I mean, I would call it a valley.
I like it. It's there's a mountain and then another mountain. It's
Right,
double
but
mountain.
we're looking at the middle, which is the valley.
Who says we're not looking from a mountain at other mountains?
That's true.
But
We're
if we're
in the
looking
mountains.
from a mountain, this is pedantic. All right.
One other set that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
All of the it was Time Spiral. The what's the name of the artist? Not Vince Kovacs, because his are pretty good. There's one other guy. He does the really, they're really like dirty, nasty, gross looking lands, and they just
That's kind of what Lorwyn was. Graham?
Is it Craig
Yes,
Mullins?
Craig Mullins.
Ah,
Yeah, the Craig Mullins plains,
yeah.
swamp, island, and
He didn't do a full set?
no, he did do the full set.
Oh,
but
you don't like them all?
No, I don't like the mountain. Actually, the island I'm not even that fond of. No, I think it's just
Got a ghost ship in the background.
Does it?
No, but you can convince people there is.
Thanks, Liam.
Actually, no. These are the perfect Doran lands because the plains, the
mean junk,
swamp.
right? Every time you say Doran, I think you mean literal Doran, like you're gonna play defenders in your deck, and just I've been disappointed too many times.
Well, he's just setting up the long con,
The
because now
Abzan
one time
lands.
he's going to play against you in
Look,
Highlander,
I
and he's
don't
going
even
to be
insist
like,
you call them Abzan.
I'm
Junk
playing
is fine.
Doran, and you're going to be like, oh, all right, he's playing some blade deck.
You're
and
like,
he's
yeah,
gonna,
like,
I'll keep my twisted
slam-
image in my opening hand or
Yeah,
whatever.
this swamp
Slam
here.
wall
it's,
tribal.
I
That's
love
very
it.
swampy.
It's so grody looking.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, the plains, swamp, and forest pair together really well. So if you want black
I
white
actually
deck,
think that looks more like a forest than a swamp.
It's so dark. Can we just let Alex have this?
I like it.
I appreciate your choices, Alex.
Have you seen the Tumblr that's, I think it's just called Not an Island, and it's just all these pictures of Magic basics, like basic islands that are not islands.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
island
They're like
progressively began to
streams
mean,
or
like
lakes
Yeah.
or
bodies of water.
or just
Yeah.
a city with a fountain.
I mean,
It's
Zen,
good.
yeah, obviously an island is
pretty
kind of
sick.
hard in Zen in Ravnica. Not an island.
Yep, that's a river. That's a river.
All right, Liam.
That's a river.
That's a valley. That's a valley.
That's a
Liam.
valley river.
I mean, I would call it a canyon stream.
That's a waterfall. Those are waterfalls.
All right, Liam.
Anyway.
Your basic art of choice.
I actually have two. One that I actually have and one that I wish I had.
Okay.
That's a canal.
I mean, all right. Plausible deniability. This whole thing might be an island to the left or the right,
Sure.
but not good plausible deniability. I agree. Yeah. So I have two that I like. I also really like unhinged basics. I have a bunch of them. I don't know exactly how many. A lot. Too many probably.
Okay.
But I'm always on the lookout for more. But actually, probably in a perfect world, if I could do it, I really like foil Ravnica, original Ravnica lands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Foil
I
particularly,
only
eh?
like them in foil. Yeah,
Okay.
they're fine in regular printing, but in regular printing, they're not nice enough for me to be worth playing over the unhinged basics that I have a lot of. But if I somehow acquired 30 of. Yeah, this one's amazing. That's
They're
my favorite
really
island. They're
gorgeous.
so good. And in foil, the city aspect of it really pops, which I like quite a lot. And in regular, it's still good. I have one of these. I have one foil Ravnica mountain, this mountain, and if I had 30 of them, I'd play them. But, yeah.
There was one artist who did some basics for Return to Ravnica that I quite liked. I think it was Young Hao Han. I think I liked all of them except the Swamp.
Yeah.
Like, they were real good.
I think I like the original Ravnica ones a little bit more because of the scale that gets conveyed.
They're very big.
That's what I like about them. And like the RTR basics are also like nice, they're fine. But I don't.
Oh yeah, there's that swamp I was talking about.
Like this just like looks like huge, right? And sort of Neolithic, which is like pretty awesome.
Oh man.
Is it bad that I want to build these in Minecraft now?
No,
Yes.
Go for it. Build that one.
It's going to take me like a year, but...
You know what? When you're done, it'll be great. It'll be worth it.
You're making me want to like sleeve these back up. And,
right?
Like,
all right.
Save a bunch of money on these stupid basics that are too expensive.
Let's move on to our next thing, tokens. I personally don't go out of my way to acquire tokens. The only token I've ever really chased down is my Merit Lodge token because it's Merit Lodge. Yeah. But like, I play so many Planeswalker decks and Stacks decks and stuff like that. And I just like, it's not my thing, but I get Alex is just like, oh baby. Let's go down the line. Let's make you wait. Jer.
I have some. I have a box of tokens that I always just keep in my bag, and it has like some specific ones, some fairly generic ones, and then I just have like a bunch of like super generic Channel Fireball ones.
But do you go out of your way to acquire them, or do you like style? Do you put any emphasis on which tokens you play?
I have so the ones I have are like custom made, so it has some that you can't get. So I have one that's like, I have a black 1/1 Death Touch Snake.
Okay.
Which is like the holy grail of tokens. Why won't they print this card? Oh, Theomancer one time.
Yeah. I should add, I did support a Kickstarter for classic art tokens, and I do love those, but even though I have it, I don't go out of my way to like move them over for every deck. It's only if I'm on the same deck for a really long time that I'll go through my stack of classic art Kickstarter tokens and put them in there. Mm-hmm. Any other ones?
You have like a bunch of RK Post ones, right?
But
this is the wrong colors.
Yeah. And it's an enchantment.
That's the official one.
Oh, really?
Because they haven't made a
they
mono
haven't
black.
printed it.
They got a green one.
This is Farika.
Yeah,
this is Hapatra.
Ooh, I bet you could repaint this.
Yeah,
like
but
I should get one.
But you could tell from the thickness that it was a altered snake token.
It's fine.
It's a thick snake.
You got anything else to add on that one?
No.
Man, there's some weird tokens.
All right, Alex, let him have it.
What the heck is a snapping fang head?
It's from Hero's Path, or whatever it's called.
It's from the Hydra Challenge.
Oh, right. I'm with you now, Ted.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Pardon?
I go very out of my way to get the correct tokens for the effects that create them.
Yeah.
With very few exceptions. Like, I will find, when it's possible, a token that was printed in the same set that was intended for use with the effect. So, like, for example, like Young Pyromancer, I have M14 1/1 elemental tokens.
Those are hard to find.
They are. And I will usually get up to 4 of a given type.
That's just not being ambitious enough with Young Pyromancer.
Depending on the effect. Some I will get many more of. Yeah, they recently reprinted this in Unstable.
Yeah, now you can get the full art version. Oh my god.
It's pretty cool looking, but I have this thing about...
You have your thing, I get it.
So yeah, like there's a few, especially the older sets, where such tokens don't exist. However, there are a few that there's like close approximations, like Collar the Claw. There's like, I think there's bear tokens from Odyssey.
Bear.
Where you can just go bear. Yeah, I tracked those down. I'm trying to think. There's a couple tokens that I'm very proud of. Well, yeah, look at that boy.
It's a hot bear.
They finally printed in one of the commander sets a 3/3 boar token to go with Brindleshode.
Because there was finally something that was a 3/3 boar, not a 3/3
the
beast.
Caecilianos of
Yep, there was.
magic tokens.
I think there was like a 2/2 boar, but there was a 2/2 boar from Theros.
Curse of the Swine.
Yeah, Curse of the Swine. But there's 3/3 boar, which specifically goes with the card Brindleshode. I was like, yeah, they got it. It was hard to find because it's a double face card, and on all the websites, it shows the other side. So it's just like you're scrolling. It's like Goblin. Don't see it. You're like Goblin Boar. I also have a Maharlaj token because it's super sweet.
What's your favorite Goblin token?
Alara.
My favorite is the fuzzy KTK Goblin.
They're very cute.
Fuzzy Goblin all the way.
I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see. Is that the
Fuzzy Goblin?
Wow.
Fuzzy Goblin.
Baby Yeti, basically.
The one there's 2 or 3 sets of tokens that I've yet to track down. One is the original. I think it's Betrayers of Kamigawa. 1/1 colorless spirit tokens that look.
You need those for Promise of Bunrai.
Super cool. Yes, I need 4
And
of
Forbidden
them.
Orchard.
I need exactly 4 of them for Promise of Bunrai. Like, they're really cool.
That's really cool.
They're also like $12 each.
Really?
They're so expensive.
Oh my goodness.
But I will probably acquire these eventually because it's part of my collector thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is I think it's a player rewards Saproling that looks really scary. It's also very expensive, but I want to get 3 of these for Sprouting Thrynax.
It's just a sapling that's going to mess you up.
I have the Alara ones for Thrynax.
You don't want to get like 12 for Sprout Swarm?
I probably should. No, I shouldn't. That's a bad idea. I've got like 12 of the Alara.
Oh,
Saprolings.
cool.
Is it that one?
No.
Oh, wait.
It's
That one?
That one.
Oh,
Get him.
How is that a Saproling?
It's got flavor text.
It's fine.
This thing's
The nauseating
nuts.
wriggling of a sapling is exceeded only by the nauseating wriggling of its prey.
It's
You're
just
not kidding about nauseating.
Oh,
I
how
is
think
that a
they-
1/1?
They changed their definition of what a sapperling is.
Apparently.
From like this set to later. Like,
Yeah.
can we flip between some sapperling tokens? Like, how is this? How is this the same thing as that?
A flower versus
this
a
one's
mouth.
poisonous.
Like,
Little
sure, but like
mushroom
these
That
are
one's
like,
hallucinogenic.
but
This
they're
one
just like little lumbering things. You know,
They
they
grow
like
out of the back of
wander
a
around.
frog.
It makes perfect sense.
All right, team. I'm going to try and bring us back really
Hey,
quick
sorry.
for one last. Liam, you have any feelings on tokens?
I have a lot of them. I have like 700 now.
You're a token acquirer?
No.
Okay. You
I just
tap
have.
them?
Yeah, I
All right.
went through a bunch of cards.
Liam hates throwing stuff out.
Real
Yeah.
quick, sorry, I just discovered a 1/1 flying spirit token that I have never seen.
What
it
is
the
it?
blue one?
Oh, wow. From
From
what's that set called
Plane
again?
shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this was a player rewards 2001.
The jar. That's a very cool one.
There are some weird little.
Anyone interested
promos.
in a Pegasus, by the way, from Unglued? I have one of those I discovered.
All right, real quick. What is your favorite card? Not play-wise, aesthetic-wise, swag-wise. What is your favorite card, Jer?
I have 3 and they're tied.
Okay.
They're all Rebecca Gay foils. I have Bitter Blossom, Moment's Peace, and Gaia's Blessing.
Ooh.
Yeah, those are all really
They're
good.
all really, really hot foils.
Those are really
The
good.
foils are good. All right, I have 2 answers. One is my favorite card, regardless, which is Hedron Crab.
Yeah.
I actually have I played Modern Mill shortly, and I got a commission of 4 full art altars of Hedron Crab, where the tide is actually going up and down. And you can see more of the rock, and it's stunning, 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 stunning. I absolutely love them. And then secondly, I probably have to say I think who did the promo foil version of Path of Exile?
Path to Exile?
Path to Exile.
Which promo? The one you're thinking of is also Rebecca Gay.
Yeah, I thought it was the Rebecca Gay one. The Rebecca Gay Path to Exile?
Correct.
Yes.
the magic card, not the MMO.
The magic card, not the video game. This is stunning.
Yeah, these are pretty good.
I really like that one.
I'm actually going to segue from this one
Okay.
to the original printing of Path to Exile from Alara because I love it.
Yeah? That's your swag card?
The Leonin disintegrating into petals
Oh.
is such a great visual.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know what? This one almost pairs with Tombstalker. Are they both Todd Lockwood? Oh, is this going to blow my mind?
Survey
Survey
says.
says.
It's not Todd Lockwood, but it is
It's very similar.
Alexei Bricklow.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, the Tombstalker is also really cool. But
Yeah.
I think now that you mention it, like it's probably Unearth
Huh.
from like top to bottom.
Yeah, that's your jam?
It's very simple, but it's
Original.
yeah.
Yeah, that's your jam. That's very you. That's like very, very you.
Yeah, they're just like one frame of animation.
Arm coming out of the grave.
It's like, hey, where's Joe?
Liam, tell me about your favorite card.
I have two. One which I actually own, and the other I do not.
Okay.
I really like all of Noah Bradley's Expedition lands. All
Yeah.
those top lands. They're really, really good.
And that's one you own or you don't own?
I do not own any of those, but I am planning to purchase prints of the art because I have all the unhinged basics. I have prints of those in my house.
Yeah.
And then I want to get the corresponding Noah Bradley shocklands that fit in between the basics. But
that's really
this
cool.
is like long term. I need a house first kind of goal.
Sure.
But yeah, so I really like those. And then the one that I have is kind of boring. Well, it's not boring. I really like this art. Is Delver of Secrets. It's my favorite art.
Good art.
All right.
Which side?
Oh yeah.
Front side more than the back side.
Yeah, the unnatural aberration, whatever the backside's called.
I just had one other quick question.
Yeah.
Because this is a contentious point.
Sexual aberration.
We should all talk about whether we like foreign foil or just regular cards. We don't have to explain it. We can just really quickly do it.
Okay. I personally don't like foreign cards. Because it's a barrier to new players entering. One of the most troll things that happens in our community is somebody like, hey, I'm visiting Victoria, can I borrow a Highlander deck? And somebody's like, play my Goblin deck, it's super approachable, and you get there and none of the cards are English.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't know what these cards do. The same thing with the full art altars, it's just really not approachable to new players. Jer, real quick.
Depends on the card.
Okay. Yeah?
There you go.
All right. Will you seek out foreign foil or altars? Depends on the card?
Sometimes,
Okay.
yeah.
Alex?
Non-foil first printings, with a few exceptions where usually it's because the art is ugly
All right.
or it's not available.
I have rather unique tastes.
Okay.
Which is that I like often acquiring the literal dirtiest printing of a card I can possibly find, just like this Sunforger for you.
I hate you! Why would you do this to me?
So you'll note the back of this, like it's so dirty that you can see the cardstock. Yeah, this is just a delight.
Oh, what a nice gift!
I know. Yeah. So
Liam is actually gifting Alex a copy of Sunforger for himself right here.
We don't destroy magic cards.
I'm not destroying it. I just don't want to
doesn't want
handle
to pick it up with his hands.
my bare hands.
And it's not even an original printing of it. It's from one of the expansion decks.
This is the trollest thing anybody has ever done to me. Thank you.
Oh man!
It means he thought about what I hated very closely.
Alex won't even touch it with his skin.
I'm gonna put that over there.
All right.
I thought you were gonna put it into Serge's coffee cup.
No, that would be.
So let's move to our closing segment right now. And as always, we're going to tell a story of powerful magic. And up today, we have Alex. Alex, regale us with your words.
This one's just really short and sweet.
Regale.
This was on Monday.
Damn it. Okay.
And I was running it back with zombies.
Yeah.
Which is a list that I ran the week before.
Okay.
And I was the first time I took it out for a spin, I got demolished by Paradox Academy.
Oh.
Played by a certain fellow we know.
Somebody whose deck may or may not be damp.
Yes.
No.
And so on Monday, I got paired up against him again. I was like, oh dear, this is going to be bad.
What are you doing?
I don't really know.
And I think it was game 2. I don't remember what happened in game 1.
Okay.
But in game 2, I peel like 7, maybe 6, and that's really distracting.
Stop.
So I peel an opening hand. It's okay, but it has Wasteland in it, and I'm like, actually, I think the previous game he had gotten Academy Online and had like Deserted Temple and was like untapping it to make like 50 hojillion mana. I was like, this is probably fine. Like, this is probably okay to keep. Like, it's maybe not an optimal hand, but I like this Wasteland.
I see where the keep is coming
He
from.
goes turn 1 Workshop. And I'm like, oh, boom. He's like, awkward.
You just like windmill slam
I'm
it.
just like kill it immediately. I won that matchup. Like, I think I won in 3.
Did you have the second land?
I think he eventually got there.
But
You can.
the other thing I did was I actually got a tempo play. He tapped out for Paradox Engine, like 5 mana, just like, okay, I'm pressuring him, played it.
Didn't have a threat, yeah.
Didn't have anything. I played, what's the zombie bounce spell?
Oh.
It's 1 in a blue.
Yeah, I know what
return
you're talking
target,
about here.
Compelling deterrence.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes. Thank you. Compelling deterrence. So I bounce it, end of his turn. He's like, awkward. like
This is a
crashing.
compelling occurrence.
This card is good.
This looks like a movie Nick Cage would star in.
All right.
This guy's crashing.
As
more.
which guy?
The one on the right.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy. Oh
It's
no.
kind of like a Wicker Man kind of feel.
All right.
Not the base.
Well, it's
So,
awesome.
It was good.
Sometimes Wasteland is your best friend.
Yep.
Often.
Get them.
Get 'em. All right, team. Well, that's our episode for today. Just a quick little recap on some ways, both practical and swag, that you can customize your deck. I learned a lot this episode, actually. I didn't actually know that trick about basic lands. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. As always, a reminder that this is brought to you by you with your support at the Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Thank you. We literally couldn't do it without you. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week, and yeah. Cheers. Oh.